Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Liberal Loudmouth. So today's video is, as promised, I'm going to release the audio of my dealings with the Owasso Public School District's handling of bullies, especially as it relates to teachers being aware of the bullies and basically doing nothing and not holding those teachers accountable for it. Now, a little backstory. This moment that I learned that bullying is taking place in the school, I am in the middle of a federal lawsuit with the Owasso Public School District. And when I reached out to Eric Nantois, who's the principal of the 7th grade center at the time, a person who I really have had a lot of respect for over the years, both of my kids have dealt with, Eric Nantois. Seems like a straight up dude. He doesn't seem like he BS's. He just seems like a guy that's trying to keep all of his shit together and doing what he can. But you also have to keep in mind that part of a principal's job, or any administrator, is to protect his staff members. That's a role that they take on that they don't have to take on, but they do. So even I, at this point, know this. So I don't push too hard on it because they all do this. Every principal that I've ever dealt with in my entire life has done this. It does need to change, but I wanted to express that before we start in on the audio clips. Now, this first one is where I actually go to the school instead of just making a phone call. I go to the school to report this to Eric Nantois, and that's what you're about to hear.
Hey, sir.
What's going on, man?
I'm gonna grab my binder.
Did you tell me to step in there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good.
Matt's gonna be right with you guys, okay?
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
Kimberly, I'll be right with you. Do you have your backpack?
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, man. How are y'all?
We're doing awesome. What did you find out?
So apparently it's been going on for a while.
Okay.
The kid has pushed him on several occasions, and I guess they have a nickname for him, Caveman.
Okay.
Of course, I told him, I was like, you know what, there's worse nicknames. That's a pretty cool nickname. I was like, I'd roll with that one.
Caveman?
Caveman, yeah. Probably because of his hair. So now he wants to cut his hair off.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Hair's awesome.
I was like, are you sure? Because he was the one that wanted to grow it out. But they say he sucks whenever he misses balls. It's just a constant thing, and it's one particular kid named.
Okay.
And but I guess all the other friends in there do it. So it's he said he doesn't have any friends in that class. So and he said that the teacher, he's pretty sure, has seen it happen.
Okay.
And then the pushing and the name calling and which I find to be a little upsetting.
Yeah, man. They're pretty good. Those teachers are. They sometimes when you get
see, there he goes
around in the gym, it's hard. I had a fight happen yesterday, and I'm outside and I missed it. So sometimes stuff happens, but I'll definitely talk to him.
Yeah.
How we handle this is I'll get your kiddo down this morning. I told you yesterday, we'll fill out that bullying harassment report.
Yeah.
I'll start looking into it. I contact other parents regardless.
Yeah.
Let them know, hey, here's the accusation that I'm looking into.
Yeah.
What I can assure you and promise you is I'll get it to stop.
Yeah.
What the punishment's going to be kind of depends what I find out.
Yeah.
So we kind of go through that.
Yeah. I tried to, because I'm sure there's cameras wherever they are there.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, I tried to find out if it was like recent when he was pushing and stuff, and he couldn't remember. So
okay, yeah, I can see anything on that.
Yeah, I mean, you might be sitting there looking for a while, who knows. But I told my son that it was like you've got to stand up for yourself, when somebody's calling you names. So I was like, you can't let them do that because they'll just keep doing it, So there's obviously things I need to work on with him. But I trust you to, handle that, your side of things.
Yeah, we'll take care
and
of
at this point, I did.
And what I need to know is if it doesn't. Because if it doesn't stop, I'll up my game. And that's what I tell kids. I'm like, it's illegal to bully someone. I get the police if I need to. I've never had to.
Yeah.
Never had to. Won't have to.
Now, I want to point out what he just said. It's illegal to bully someone. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. They're not allowed to do that. You can't do that in school. It's not free speech, as people have been claiming that those girls have, and even that cop said. But you don't have free speech to harass somebody.
Here, rarely do I even have to talk about it twice.
Yeah, because my son he's so reserved, he's so quiet, he's and he just, I think it was bothering him, but he just ignores it, which can only works to a certain point, and I'm like, son, when you do that, that stuff eats at you, and then all of a sudden one day you're just gonna lose it on the guy.
Yep.
I was like, and then doesn't matter what he did 6 months prior, you'll be the one that gets in trouble.
Now, I want to point out how predictive that statement was that happened at the school. And I've said this in other videos before. And this is what I said to Eric Nantois that day in the office. Like, son, you can't let them do this, because if you do, it's going to eat at you and eat at you until all of a sudden you freak out on them, even though you're right in what you're doing and that you're responding to just never-ending, incessant bullying. Everybody's going to look at you because now you're the one causing the scene. And that's what happened with Nex Benedict.
Yeah. You're the one making the scene, So, I'll work with him on that stuff, and I do trust that you guys will handle that. I know bullying, you guys probably don't put up with that too much. So,
no, sir.
Try not to.
We'll get
Try
it
not
stopped.
to talk.
Yeah. I mean, especially with all the stuff going on these days, with the kids,
Especially a kid like him, he's not going to be real confrontational. And
right.
that may not work in his favor, but we can certainly help him as well. Not just the dad angle.
Right.
He's a dad too, and I'm a mom of boys.
Right.
And,
well, I mean, you get it. Yeah. Now the retribution thing, and in your experience, how do you keep that from happening? Well, like if he gets in trouble, and
honestly, especially in a gym class, you get 7th grade boys get in there, and they get competitive, and they start acting stupid.
Right.
They got no frontal lobe. A lot of times the conversation makes them feel bad.
He's not wrong
they
here.
Kind of see, I feel bad now, and a lot of times that takes care of it. Now, I blame it on the parent too.
Yeah.
I have a kiddo who was upset, went home and talked to his mom and dad, and dad called me. Kid didn't even want to talk to me. So you kind of take the pressure off the kid, because everybody gets that their parents going to be upset.
Right.
They want to call.
Oh, yeah.
So we do that, kind of deflect it away from the kid.
Yeah, I would never want to get a phone call my kid was bullying somebody else. I mean,
and that's why it typically stops once we involve the parents.
Yeah, that's good.
I do.
Feels good about that.
This kid has. I know the kid. He has good parents. So they'll be very supportive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, my son isn't the greatest sports person, but I think that's where a lot of this kind of surrounds it. He misses a catch or something, and then they just start ragging on him, But it did. He said it does bleed over into I think it was his science class. He said he's got that same kid in that class.
Okay.
So he was doing it in there as well,
Okay.
but that the teacher had moved him, and then it stopped in the class, of course, So it's a pattern here where it's not just in the gym, it's bleeding over into other stuff. He said the other kids don't rag on him like that. It's just that one kid, but they kind of, how kids are.
Absolutely.
Her giggles, and it's funny, that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, if you say something back to him, and then everybody starts looking at him, and embarrass him, that that will, because I mean,
you got to stick up for yourself.
Balance, you know what I mean? It's like I don't want him to get in trouble, but at the same time, I don't want him to let other people think that they can do that without,
Teach them some skills. Like you, that's just.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm pretty quick. He's pretty smart, so I've seen him I've seen him go off on people when he's playing games online. So I know he's got it in him.
It's true. He's a great shit talker.
Just like you said, we want a little of that, but
right, yeah, just enough to it's like I'm not gonna let you pick on me. So, but anyway, I appreciate it, guys. I just
absolutely good to see you.
I appreciate it. Just so I think you got toothpaste on you. Right.
That's not
there.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, you got it.
I knew it was there. I like that.
Oh, yeah, she would have told me about third hour.
I know how I would have felt.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. We'll see you guys later.
And look at that. It was a good meeting. I just went in there to inform them, let them know. I wanted them to see my face. You got to keep in mind that I had been banned from school property a month or two before that, maybe a month. I can't remember the exact date. I believe this was November 17th that this meeting took place, though I'd have to go back and find the original copy of this recording to give an exact date, but it was sometime in November, and I believe it was after I had just beat the school for the second time in federal court. Because before, Margaret Coates was like, you can't even show up to school without my written permission. So here I am, using what she tried to take away from me, which is me showing up, putting my face in front of them, saying, look, this is serious enough that I drove down here to show you that I'm not fucking around, right? But I was nice. I was polite, as I always am at school, as I always have been. This is how I interact with these people. Even though I sound like a jackass on the show, this is how I interact with them. I give them an opportunity to fix it. And then when they don't, then it becomes a problem. Then I become less of a nice person about it, right? So let's take a listen to, this is 1 month later, on December 1st, I believe, this next meeting that I had with Eric Nantois. And I just put it up there because it was just the audio clip, so I wanted some visual. And top left, Eric Nantois, that's the guy that I was talking to. So let's take a listen to the other audio clip.
We talked about the bullying issue, whatever. So it's continuing, and the coach is aware, and he didn't do anything about it. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Same young man, different young dude?
Same kid. Same coach.
And I talked to the coach last time, and why does your kiddo think the coach is?
Because he was watching while was calling him names and stuff, and didn't say anything.
When did this happen?
Yesterday.
What did he say to him?
I don't know. Anakin didn't remember specifics what he said, but
he's at 5th hour, 4th hour?
I don't know what hour it is. I'd have to look it up in Power School.
That's always my thing. Don't make me come back to the school again, because I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there.
I brought this up last time that, that the coach should be paying attention, and you'd said that, there's a lot of kids there. It's hard to pay attention or whatever. So now I know that the coach is just letting it happen.
Well, yeah. Let me look into it, and I'll talk to coach. I mean, it's not something that comes up very often that they're just letting stuff go.
It's
actually
twice now I've been in here, and the first time I assumed the coach probably seen it, but I didn't know, and now I know for sure.
Yeah. Well, you're not in there, so I don't know.
Well, you weren't in there.
My son wouldn't lie,
I'm not saying
and he offered.
Lie at all. That's your son's perception.
Right, and my son, prior to that, he said, I don't know if the coach knows.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, I know he knows because he was watching us while he was doing it.
How far away way he was?
Listen to this shit.
And that's what I'm saying. I always look into a situation both ways very closely.
And now I'm getting irritated.
This is a problem I have with administration. And, you know, I'll just be blunt here.
Be blunt back.
That's fine. Okay. I appreciate that. Is that it feels like, and I have the issue with Margaret Coates as well. It feels like the first priority is to do everything to protect the teacher.
That's absolutely not my first. My first priority.
Yeah, it is.
Students.
Right, but
so how I handle it, I'm not going to just have someone come in and tell me someone's doing wrong without me looking into it.
I appreciate that. I understand that.
That's what I'm saying to you. I'm going to look into it.
Right, but
Bullshit.
you are qualifying the situation as if that possibly didn't happen when my son is.
It may not have happened. I don't know. It may have. I'm not. Right now, I'm not just going to say it straight up happened because you said it did. I want to look into it.
I didn't say it did. My son said it did. My son doesn't offer things like that unless something happened. I mean, he's a lot different from other kids. He's not, he doesn't.
Your son's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't offer information like that unless there's a reason for it.
Yeah. Hey, it may happen. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just not going to sit here and say my teacher's guilty without me looking into it.
I can appreciate that, but that's not what you said. What you said was defending the teacher, and that, I have a history with that teacher. Sure, and now we have a history with this teacher with my son, where all school year my son has been allowed to be pushed, have names called for months, and the coach, for whatever reason, didn't say anything, didn't think it was important. I don't know. I can't speak for the guy. But then once you've addressed it, right,
now he knows.
You said that you addressed it.
Absolutely been addressed.
Then he's watching this kid do it, and he doesn't do anything.
And that's why I have a hard time believing him to do that. I mean, just simply for the fact, my history with him, the fact that I know it's been addressed.
Well, I have a feeling that coach knows that I'm suing the school. So I don't know if it's beyond the realm of possibility that coach.
Okay, so I may have learned this after this conversation. It turns out that teacher did, in fact, know exactly who I was because he made comments to my son about the lawsuit and me. And here I am talking to this guy who wants to qualify all these statements as, well, I've got a history with this guy, when in fact that person knows exactly who I am and that I'm suing the school. I mean, guys, this was a big deal for the school. This was a huge deal, actually, for the school to get sued in federal court. How is that not? And every staff member was sent a letter by Margaret Coates saying that Timothy Ryland has been banned from school property, and if you see him show up on school property, to call the police. So, of course, he knew exactly who I was. We had the same last name. And I guess I thought I had said that in this conversation, but what I ended up calling the assistant superintendent after I walked out of here, and I'm like, listen, Linda, because then that was when I realized that the dude actually knew exactly who I was because he's made a comment to my son about it.
Coach just doesn't care.
So let me think of it. Let's really think about how people think, though.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Do you think with me knowing that I want to upset you?
I don't know.
I don't.
Can't. Yeah.
I don't. And matter of fact, I've got long now for 4 years, I think.
Always have. And that's,
So I would hope you and I have.
But that's why I'm
going to do the best job to handle this.
I wanted to be as blunt and honest with you as possible. This is how I'm looking at it here. So if it doesn't get addressed, or because I thought it was addressed, I sat in there and told you I trusted that you would handle it,
and I did.
It's still a problem,
okay.
And now at least from my perspective and my son's perspective, the coach is watching it. Maybe he didn't think it was a big enough deal, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it needs to stop. I think kids that bully other kids should be expelled from school.
I agree. If it needs to be stopped. If we have true to the word bullying.
True to the word. Listen to this.
All day long, every day. I mean,
there's no excuse for it.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. Now, you throw 757 seventh graders into a confined building, sir, I have trouble getting my 3 kids to get along.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? Stuff happens.
Buddy, that's your job.
Well, getting along is one thing. My son is very, very, very quiet.
Yes, sir.
He would just ignore it and let it roll off his back. But I told him, I was like, look, the only way you're going to get a bully to stop is to make him embarrassed in some way. You know, you got to give it back because he's just not going to stop. And you don't let somebody roll over you. Just like I didn't let the school roll over me when
that's right.
Right.
Yes,
That's what I teach my kids. So, I mean, that's, you know, at some point, you know, I don't know what needs to happen here, but I just hope that the school will do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my job. You know, but what you have to understand is when someone talks to me, I'm going to look into it, every angle of it.
Yeah.
Okay, in your mind, it's dead set. This kid's horrible. This kid did this. I have no idea right now what this kid's done. I have no idea. What you've got to understand, I've done this job for over 10 years now. There's always 2 sides. Usually it's in the middle somewhere. So I just don't get excited and jump immediately to what someone tells me.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. This is twice I've shown up here. Twice. The first time, he verified that the bullying was going on. He addressed it with the teacher. And it had stopped to some degree, but then just kept going. Right? And then eventually, with a month later, it got so bad again that my son brought it to my attention, and I'm telling you, my son is extremely quiet. So, no, this isn't just there's 2 sides to every story. Oh, what was your son doing? No, my son didn't do shit. I can barely get my son to talk. The only time he'll talk is when he's, online. He's socially anxious. He doesn't do what this man is suggesting that my son is doing, which is, it's usually somewhere in the middle. No, actually, turns out it wasn't. Turns out it absolutely wasn't, and he had already previously verified that it wasn't. Yet here he is trying to tell me, well, I'm gonna have to look at it. Yes, okay, I get that. You're gonna have to investigate it to prove that this happened. Okay, I get that. But I don't want to hear that shit. You go and do that and be like, I'll look into it. Instead of all this bullshit. Well, the teacher.
I do a very thorough job.
Did you look into it before?
Absolutely.
Did you find any evidence that there was bullying?
I did not find any evidence of pushing. I found evidence that kids were name calling.
Okay. Well, then I don't know why there's even a question of whether there's some kind of disagreement.
Because I don't know that it happened again. I need to look into it. Do I think your kid's lying? Absolutely not. So you want what you're saying to me. So if a dad came in today,
semantics.
Let's say a dad came in today and he told me that Anakin had done something to his kid. You just want me to listen to the dad, or do you want me to look into it?
We'll look into it, sure.
That's what I'm telling you.
But we've got but there's a history
I'm
here.
I'm still going to look into it.
Well, no, I understand that, but the responses you're giving are lending itself to the defense of the teacher and of the situation with the student
I'm defending the teacher because I'm going to look into it, but I just can't believe that teacher would purposely let a kid bully a kid.
I don't know. I don't know. I just threw that out there.
History. In fact, I think sometimes the teacher's too strict.
Well, I threw that out there as a possibility. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm saying that's when we start, I come in here twice. If I have to come in here 3 times, then what?
Sir, then we're going to look.
Then what?
We're going to look into that time. I mean, I don't know. You're acting like this is an easy black and white rule book kind of job. It's not. I do the best I can. I look into every situation. But you're wondering if I'm defending it. I am, because I just now if he did wrong,
I am defending him.
We're going to look into it. But
like you did with the kid that was bullying the last time.
Yes.
Yet he's still doing it.
Yeah, well, sir, I mean, I can't make this. What I'm telling you is we have a policy, and I follow that policy to the T. You think I'm dumb enough not to follow the policy to the T?
I don't think you're dumb at all.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
I dang well knew the situation. I'm just being honest with you. I dang well knew the situation, who the kid was, and who you are. I'm not stupid.
Yeah. Well, you did say you knew his dad.
No, I'm talking about you.
Well, I'm saying you said you knew that kid's dad.
I knew the kid's family.
Yeah. And I don't know how deep that goes, but you know, is there a personal interest there with the kid? Family friend or something?
I don't remember saying that.
And nor did I say
I shouldn't have said that.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
That's funny though.
Well, I'm not asking who the kid is.
I don't know the kid's dad. I've dealt with the kid's family at school before. And they've been supportive. So
gotcha.
They
right.
So what does this look like then?
I gotta prove it. If I prove it, he's in trouble.
And how do you do that? You pull up the video, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll look at the video. I'll talk to witnesses.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing here, sir. I've got a situation yesterday where a girl was called a name. It's the exact same situation. Exact same. Already dealt with it, trouble before. Girl's claiming this boy's called her a name. I can't prove it.
Yeah.
I can't prove it. There's no witnesses. He's saying he didn't. She's saying, I mean, just like if you went to court, sometimes there's hearsay. If I can prove it, man, this is easy. There is some suspensions that happen. Absolutely. It's not always that stinking easy.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
That coach, would it be possible to sit down with him and you?
Yeah.
How soon could we do that?
You just need to schedule a meeting. I mean, I'm already going to get a class.
Well, sure.
We can do it before school.
Yeah, or whatever. If we need to do that, I'd like to hear.
Yeah.
Did he say that he had seen any signs of it?
No, and this isn't what you want to hear, but sometimes it's hard to just, and with your kid it shouldn't be. I get that. He's quiet. He's not talking trash. You take kids that aren't quiet. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between them being goofy and someone being picked. That's different, and I agree with you.
Right.
He's quiet.
Yeah.
No, he said he hadn't. He said he hadn't noticed.
Of course he said he hadn't.
Look out for it. Said he liked your kid, said he's really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when he tells me something, I know that it's not, because he doesn't talk otherwise unless he's on a game,
So you want to set that up for tomorrow morning?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
What time?
7:40.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. What is tomorrow? Wednesday?
Friday.
Is tomorrow Friday?
That meeting never happened.
Yeah. So I don't want to have to come in here a third time.
Well, sir, I hope you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get it fixed before then. Because if you said you did find evidence of name calling and stuff, then past behavior is an indication of future behavior. And if somebody says, well, he's still doing it.
Well, it's repetitive in bullying. Repetitive behavior is by the definition.
You think?
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm saying whenever somebody comes and says, well, hey, this person's bullying me, and that person has a history of bullying, it's more likely that he is bullying than he's not bullying.
Yes,
I didn't just make this up and come in here to have a conversation.
No, I don't
Okay.
I don't think you did.
All right.
I don't think you did. I'm just trying to, the point I'm trying to make to you is I'm very thorough.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get it dealt
Absolutely.
with. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, so that was the second conversation I had with Mr. Nantois, and as you can see, I'm a little more irritable and pushing back on it. What I walked away from that conversation feeling was Eric Nantois wasn't going to do anything to that teacher. He wasn't going to admit that teacher stood there and watched it happen, and maybe this was a direct result of the fact that I was suing the school. But as I said, my son brought to my attention, I believe it was that night of this conversation that second one that I played, that the teacher had made a previous comment about me, about the lawsuit. Now, that is inappropriate all on its own. It's none of the teacher's business. He has no business talking about it to my son. That's totally irrelevant, unnecessary bullshit. But the fact that he said that to my son about the lawsuit tells me he knows exactly who I am, and him letting these kids bully my son, and I still to this day believe that man watched it happen. He's probably old school. I think the man was in his late 50s, early 60s, and he probably has it, you got to grow thick skin. Yeah, no, we don't do that anymore. Yes, my son also needs to learn that you don't let people do it. Even if you lose, you have to stand up for yourself. period, point blank. That's how I live my life. That's how everybody should live their life. And that's how parents should teach their kids also. But at the same time, we shouldn't be allowing that shit to take place. Is it going to happen still? Yes, of course it will. But that's where the adults in the room are supposed to stop it. And in Nex Benedict's case, shit like what just happened there, that conversation that you just listened to me have with Eric Nantois, well, I don't think I've got a long history with this guy. This is the problem that I have with public schools in general. The same issue I have with police departments also. They flat out refuse to acknowledge that their staff are fucking up. Whether it's a liability issue, they don't want to be held liable for these things, they don't want to admit that their staff can do wrong, whatever the case is. These things still happen. The administrators protect their staff members. I mean, I had one, it was the superintendent was sitting in on a meeting with me and somebody else. This dude actually, I think it was Mark Officer, in fact, whenever that teacher was bullying my daughter, here I'm not going to sit here and let you say this about the teacher, and was literally sat in there defending his teacher who was bullying my daughter. And I'm talking to this teacher and explaining why these things are not okay and why saying shit in front of the classroom that will demean and belittle the children as they come into the classroom, why that's considered bullying. I have this guy just sat there and said, I'm going to defend my staff. Just flat out said it. Hey, thank you for at least being fucking honest about it, that your staff could do all these terrible things and you're just here to defend them, and that's your job, is to defend them. You can bring it up to my attention. No, your teacher's fucking up, and I schedule a meeting to have with you and the teacher. Yeah, the teacher gets to sit there and listen to me say something to them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they don't like it, they can fucking quit their job and they can go do something else. Because if you as a teacher can bully a child, you're the worst kind of scum on earth, okay? If you're a teacher that bullies a child or allows a child to be bullied in your classroom and you don't do anything about it, you don't need to be teaching children, period. And in Nex Benedict's case, this is what had happened. My daughter watched it happen. This is what this child was dealing with, as so many other children are, and it goes right back to the administrators of the damn school. And now I want to say that what Eric Nantois in that audio said wasn't actually untrue. So to be fair, I mean, he does have to do his investigation. I get that, and I understood that when I walked through the door. I knew it wasn't going to be, this guy's going to run and grab this kid and throw him in the office and let me berate him. I didn't expect any of that. But what I didn't like was the fact that the moment that I complained mostly about this teacher and that it was just continuing to happen despite it clearly being brought up to the teacher's attention, that he qualified all of his statements with, well, yeah, but. That was what I found to be very telling about how the administration handles bullying in general. And that's why I think this is an important example of what they do and don't do when it comes to bullying. As you can tell from there, he says, I don't deal with this. I don't put up with bullying, et cetera, et cetera. But then in the same breath, he's, well, when you get all these kids together, they're going to do this and they're going to be kids, they're going to be raucous and this and that. It's like, well, yeah, but that's no excuse for the adult in the room that's supposed to be looking out for your children, that's just totally oblivious to what's going on. You see a group of kids that are, surrounding and pushing and laughing at and whatever. One student, the quiet student, the one that the teacher already knows whose dad is suing the school, which, I assume he probably was against. That just happens to happen. And I think another big takeaway from this video and the audio that I presented is that if you're a parent and like me, like that first trip I made in there, that you assume they're going to come down hard on bullying at Owasso Public Schools, that you're going to be sorely disappointed. And if you don't continue to follow up with them face to face, you go up to the school. If you don't do those things, this school is going to just push it under the rug as they tried to do. But they knew, they all know me. They've known me for 9 years at that place. They knew I wasn't going to let it go. So yeah, I mean, this is how Owasso Public Schools handles bullying. So whenever you hear somebody say, "Oh, Nex was the bully," Nex was the bully. Oh, well, why didn't Nex report it? Why didn't Nex report it? Well, this right here, if Nex didn't have a parent that would go up there and just constantly stay on the ass of the school, then the school isn't going to do anything about it. They may do the bare minimum. We followed the policy, just like you heard Eric Nantois say, I followed the policy. But the policy says that I've got to defend my teachers no matter what. So if you don't have that, then it's going to continue, and the teachers are going to let it happen to some degree. I mean, if it gets really, really crazy, I'm sure there are several teachers out there that will make it stop, but they don't seem to just want to nip it in the bud immediately. Kids will be kids, which, yes, this is true, but when you're seeing one person just get picked at and picked at and picked at and picked at, something in your brain needs to click and say, we need to get that kid out of here, and he needs to get in trouble, or she needs to get in trouble for bullying. Do it every time. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. It doesn't mean, well, this is bullshit. They'll find any excuse as to why the school didn't do anything wrong. So, so take that for what it is. I mean, it's probably not the worst thing ever, but you have to keep in mind, I was literally in the middle of a lawsuit with the school, so things are a little bit different. And as Eric Nantois admitted, it's like, do you think, knowing what I know about you, do you think that I would want to upset you? Well, of course I don't think that he would want to upset me. And that's why, another reason why I thought the school would deal with it, but they didn't. It just kept going. And I'll point out that even after that meeting, it still kept going. But by that point, my son had made, he had basically solidified himself as, don't fuck with me anymore because I will respond eventually and you're not going to like it. That kid didn't like it. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate it. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. If you've had similar issues with your schools, please let us know in the comment section, because this isn't just Owasso Public Schools, okay? While they have issues, their issues mimic that of many, many other schools all across the country. So if you've had issues with that, please tell us your story in the comment section. And if you have audio from Owasso Public Schools or proof of other things from Owasso Public Schools, please reach out to me with an email, and I'm happy to vet and put this content out there for everybody to see, because people need to understand just how piss poor the administration is at that school. Anyway, that is it for now, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. This is the Liberal Loudmouth. Peace.